Well, good morning, friends. I guess I'm live streaming, and here we go. We're going to get right to it. This is an interesting bit of work for me, hopefully interesting for you as well. But if not, I could certainly understand because what I'm working on today is if you want to create a cartoon, it's absolutely essential and important and kind of fun. Uh, but as I say, mundane in the extreme. In other words, what's going on is I'm going through uh, the whole show because at this point, the I think I finished out this scene. I don't even know if I live streamed it. I can't. Good morning. Whoever said hello, I can't say your name. Looks like an Asian name. Um, so I don't know if this last section I actually live streamed it. I can't remember. But bottom line is the episode is we're at this point to be continued. So we're in a good place. The problem is if we scan back through the show, there are a number of shots where mainly the characters are off character. Like this is actually a great example of a shot that looked just terrible 2 days ago. And then I brought it into Tahoma, did a little extra work with it, and now Tianara looks just beautiful. Looks the way she was supposed to look all along. In this next shot, for example, her mother didn't have, her wicked mother, by the way, didn't have any lips. So I needed to give her some lips. And little touch up on the animation as well. So there's lighting things going on. Some of the stuff like this that's, effecty can be allowed to be left more cartoony, but so there's color correction going on. The biggest thing is getting shots where people are off character and fixing them. So this little sequence with Asher is a prime example of that. This one's been fixed, but basically the problem I've had is early in the going, I tended to give him this really squared off jawline, and frankly, he looks like two different guys at different times in the show. So I'm going through right now, right there, actually that little shot right there, this probably needs to be fixed. So we'll take a look at 141. That one I believe was done in Krita. Happily, this one, look at that. See there? See that fix? You can see a mistake in the plastic tool. So we're going to fix that right now. And by the way, this is, in case you're curious, which you're probably not, but if you were curious, if you look here over in Krita, you got a couple layers that give, kind of a tint and a gradient to the shot. So this one is in overlay mode with an opacity around 50%. This one's in normal mode with an opacity of 19, so we'll say about 20%. How would you do the same thing in Tahoma? Well, what you do is you'd go into the schematic, which is you hit F3. Well, actually, you know what? F3 is the schematic in OpenToonz, and I'm pretty sure that hotkey is broken in Tahoma, so you'll have to set it yourself by going File, Configure Shortcuts, and change the schematic. So that would be Configure Shortcuts, and if you type in hello, you have to spell it right. You'll see schematic. I change it to F3, so it's the same as it always was. But basically what you do is normally the shot just goes through from your levels straight to the output. So what I did was I said, no, I'm going to actually take this gradient, which is this, just take that gradient and literally hit Control A to select all, Control C to cut it to the clipboard, and then I pasted it into Tahoma, just like that. And then in the schematic, I took the output from that level and put it first through an overlay, which is Insert Effects, Layer Blending, INO, which I take to mean in and out, overlay. Okay, so it's literally the same blending mode. I set the blending mode of that to 0.4, and then I piped it also into another I guess filter you'd say, or effect, and that one is just a simple over. Over meaning, I'll show you what over is. Insert FX, layer blending IO, over. Okay, so then I put this over this, which is over this, and then they all go through, and of course this is set to about 20%, just exactly the same as it is in Krita. And the result is that the final render looks exactly the same. Morning, Yvette. How you doing this morning? Okay, so we have a hiccup in our plastic tool animation right there. Look at that. Oh my goodness. So what we want to do is take this, Control C, and then grab this little dot right here and go Control V, and now the characterization looks correct. So that this particular scene was kind of lucky because there were 2 or 3 that had been done in Krita, and then when I got to this scene way back when, I had the presence of mind to bring it into what I assume at the time was probably OpenToonz. So, okay, so there, you know, that's actually a bit of a hiccup there as well, I would say. So if we go here, we got a turn of the head, and so what we need to do is right here, hit the X key, and we need to compensate for that little characterization flaw, which I did by simply adding a couple bones. And because it's a new bone, it really doesn't affect anything in the scene. But what I'm going to do is see if I pull that in just a little bit. Okay, now because that's a global key and I just set it and there's no key information for that bone anywhere else, that will hold through the rest of the shot. But here, from here to here, I would say we have a little bit of a problem. Now notice I've got the bone, the keep distance checkbox is unchecked, and that means I can stretch the bones like so, as opposed to just kind of rotating them around their axis. So I'm going to just pull that in a little bit. Okay. Little hiccup. Control C, Control V. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately it's trying to do I'm going to hit undo a few times. I'm going to back up here because that first initial fix, well, this is one of the things you have to fiddle with. You know, it just is what it is. So we've got that, and probably I would say the wise course of action would be to actually put just a tiny, I can't remember what the hotkey was, Darren told me, but the hotkey to make it so that you set a key. I mean, I guess you could just grab the, I know what you could do. Grab the bone like that and then just click that button. There you go. Duh. Okay, so now we gotta probably need to set a key there, although it looks like it has one. So let's see what happens if we go like this. Yeah, exactly what I was afraid of. Okay, so so if I set a key there, I guess maybe that did the trick. Let's find out. I'm going to go like that. Set a key like that. It's okay. That removed all the keys. Oh my God! Look at it. No matter what I do, I can't get it to not interpolate, and it's really frustrating. It's like the solution is right there in front of you, but you can't have it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the only solution I can see, frankly, is I'm going to just manually set keys, and I'm going to make them really, really tiny. And this is supposed to be the same keys. So we should be, now that there's keys set for those two bones on this frame, Control C, Control V should make it so that that stays put. I'll bet you it worked this time. Yep, there we go. Holy cow, that was difficult. But sometimes you have to deal with difficulties. So, what app is this? This is Tahoma. This is Tahoma, which is pretty much the same as OpenToonz, with the caveat that it's a fork of OpenToonz. And looky here, I've got the same problem here. So, yeah, so what I'm working with this morning is the fact that throughout the show, like these are all shots that I've redone just in the last couple days. Quite a few of these shots. I'm literally doing head replacement on some shots because shots that were done early in the show development were, you know, the characterization was a little different. The characters sort of evolved, which is really bad practice. That's something you don't want to do. So throughout these shots, I've had to go in and fix Asher. So the good news is the first episode is basically ready to do audio. The bad news is there's a lot of fixes I need to go through. And hey, Dirt weighing in as usual with a one-liner, a one single word, like this shot right here. I like the characterization of Asher here. I mean, it's, as far as the animation and the way he was drawn and whatnot. The problem is it doesn't look like Asher, so I'm going to have to fix it. So there's quite a few of those, unfortunately, kind of woven throughout the show. So that's kind of what I'm working on. Now, the video edit is Vegas. This is Sony Vegas, version 12. I've used Vegas for 20 years, and so it's now Magic's Vegas. And I think a quite capable version, I would guess, probably will cost you about $50 or something. So I unfortunately don't use an open source program for video editing, but everything else in the pipeline pretty much is free and open source software. So hang on, folks, I gotta pull off my hoodie. It's getting warm in here. There we go. Okay, so like I said, there are several shots here of Asher that were done in Krita, like this one, but then probably the most complicated one is this one, and it was done in OpenToonz. And so what I'm doing now is I'm trying to fix some hiccups. What we've got going, we got this. Okay, so he moves over here. So I'm just going to copy this key and redo this one. Then at least I know everything's going to be in the right place. So let's paste insert. And then, yeah, the drift is gone. And that actually works okay. The rising up of his shirt really doesn't necessarily make sense. So we might want to, but we're going to get a little distortion, an undesirable distortion. Let me turn that off. Okay, come on, please let me turn off the bones, please. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, I mean that's definitely on the edge, So let's say we got that not drifting, and what we really want is, probably what we want to do here is just a little something. Just a little something so that his beard dances around a little bit. That's better. That's not exactly perfect, but in the big scheme of things, it's probably a lot less of an infraction compared to having his overall characterization being off. So now I can hit Shift Control R. It'll re-render the scene. Hey, Ashnan, I think I've seen you here before. And YS Books, alias Yvette, uses the Blender video sequence editor, and I've used for the anime project I was working on before I started working on this cartoon. I was using the Blender video sequence editor as well for my video editing, so it's pretty capable. But I mean, at the end of the day, Vegas is more performant. You know, it basically plays back more reliably. Blender tends to get bogged down a little earlier on larger projects. So anyway, that's that. Let's pop back here to Vegas and see if everything is starting to shape up. So we got this. Okay, yeah, so this is the area we're operating in. Yeah, and I'm thinking there may be some characterization tweaks on Mel as well. But we'll see. That's good. That's fine. And now I think the next shot. Yep, that's the one I just did. That worked. That one's okay. Ah, we got it. Okay, so Asher's done. Good deal. Alright, we'll save all our work. So Ashnan is making an animated movie also, so I gotta check that out, man. I'm gonna go to YouTube and look up your channel and see what you have been up to. Oh, I think I've looked at your stuff before, and there's really nothing to see insofar as an animated movie. So, well, good luck with your animated movie. Hope it goes well for you. Okay, let's get back here, and now we're just getting back to work. Kind of scanning through one thing at a time now, as I recall. Yes, back here, we had a shot, of Kaliana, where she actually looks a little too beautiful, frankly. So let's save our work here as well. Boom. No, I'm not going to save that. And we're going to close that. Now let's see. We've got 1, 2, 1. So let's open up 1, 2, 1. There it is. Boom, boom. Okay. So what we got to do, this is going to be tricky. Actually, this might be a prime example of where we should just say forget it and jump over to Tahoma. Let me think about this for half a second. Well, that should be pretty kind of sort of relatively painless. So what I want is, I probably should come back here. The quickest, easiest way would be to grab this, and let's just copy that to the clipboard, and then come back here and hit Control V, and that way I can just sample the colors. So I'm going to sample her upper lip and then turn that off. And she needs to have some wrinkles, to tell you the truth. Mouth. I'm just going to do this the hard way. And then we'll go in and think about the wrinkle situation after we get the mouth taken care of. But yeah, I kind of, this has been a couple months ago probably when this shot was done. I just got in a hurry and forgot to give the poor lady her lips. And I tell you, ladies sometimes get a little irritated when you forget their lips. So, I'm going to check this one more time. Just want to make sure I got that color correct. Okay, really? Alright, save our work. The rule with Krita is save early, save often. Oh, I see what the problem is. I know exactly what the problem is. The problem is that her mouth is semi-transparent, Okay, so here's what we need to do. We've got, we'll crank it up, and now what we're going to do is just do a quick surgery on her mouth to make the color of it look roughly what it's supposed to be. I would say that's probably about right. Okay, and now I'm going to just hit the period key to go to the next keyframe and hit Control F. And I'm just going to go through all of these and bake in the color tone, so to speak, that we had from the transparency, so that I can go in and just paint the lips on and have the tone look right. That's why I was getting a little bit befuddled by the look of the lips, you know, because I didn't realize they were partially transparent. So let's just do it this way. I just want to see what that... Okay, that's pretty dark. Is that actually the right color? I would say no. Now it's too dark. So, hey, like I said, this is the nature of the work right now. Let me see what the difference in the color is. I guess it's about the same. That just goes to show how color can definitely fool you. Color can fool you in a big way. Yep. Yeah, she has got a sour look, doesn't she? I think I'll allow her mouth to be a little bit closed, since I'm adding the lips, and it's going to make her look like she's really opening her mouth like super wide, which looks stupid. And this will allow me also, as you can see, to fix that little hiccup right there. We'll get to it. Okay, boom. I guess I'll just redraw it. It's a big M shape, isn't it? M. Okay, now, here we go. M. And this is a bit pointless. That really doesn't even need to be in there. Control X. And that doesn't need to be in there. Boom, boom, boom. Little bit of erase. Little bit of erase. Okay. Little mouth, big mouth. Anime convention. Nope. That was a boo-boo. Boom, boom. Nope. Another boo-boo. I think it's because I'm zoomed in so far. It's easy to lose your context. Oh yeah, she looks so much better now. And then we're going to have to ugly her up, actually. Okay. I'm not sure why. A little bit of a sneer. Okay, cool. Alright, save early, save often. Now let's sample the lower lip, which is a nice pink color. Boom. And we're going to go back here. And what I can do is switch to behind mode, Shift, Alt, Q, which means now I can go like this, and the color will be put behind anything that was already there on that layer. Groovy, huh? Yeah. Yeah, it's groovy. Boom. She has got a snidely attitude. But not that snidely. I'm going to switch back to normal mode. Shift Alt N and hit the B key to select my brush so I can just paint over that little glitch there. Paint, paint, paint. Let me see if it, yeah, I mean it's kind of there too. I'm only doing this because I'd rather be in behind mode most of the time when I'm doing this, and plus I'm using the freehand path tool. Okay, good deal. Shift Alt Q, again, can't emphasize enough. Save early, save often. Boom. 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 Little bit of a hiccup there. Probably isn't going to matter. Sometimes they matter, sometimes they don't. It just depends. Yep, giving her that sneer. Ooh, I like it. I like it muy mucho. Save. Okay. Can you stop the eyelash from extending to her clothes? I tell you what, Yvette. I will go with your judgment on that in this case. Because I actually kind of considered that a judgment call situation, because I think that was intentional actually when I did it. So if we get rid of it, it creates a tangent, which is also a bit of a sin. So let's see what we have here. Okay, I need to probably solo the layer, because otherwise when you sample the colors, you're getting the color that's there along with the overlays and whatnot, which corrupts the color sampling. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I'll go with your recommendation this time. If it's jumping out at you as being something that's a little egregious, then we'll call it a mistake and treat it that way. Okay, so the basic issue here is I'm thinking, boy, that's kind of what I really want. So probably the way to do this is going to be to use probably this brush, so I can just brush it. There. Now what I can do is go back through these, and what I want to do is just kind of go like that. So it's still sticking out, but it's not like as intrusive as it was. So do. But yeah, I mean, if it looks like a mistake, then hey, we'll call it a mistake. Come on, baby. Get on over there. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool beans. Yeah, I actually like it overlapping a little bit. And another thing, by the way, if you're trying to create a cartoon somewhat economically, which I am, one thing I found is absolutely huge is just throwing an eye blink here and there. Man, if you throw in an eye blink, let me show you the, like when she comes up like this and before she starts talking would be a great time to put an eye blink. Watch this. I'm gonna, boom, right there, boom. Because it almost shows contempt in her attitude. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this key of the mother right there. Okay? So that on the previous frame, I can then just take my freehand path tool and paint her eyes out. Now, to be fair, in the earlier shots, she had some eyeshadow on. So that really should be fixed as well. But I'll just take this one item at a time. one item at a time. I'm just going to keep doing the same thing here, just a couple times. And you'll see that it's got to be the cheapest way to make a simple animation, you know, come to life a bit. We'll paint that out for just for that eye blink. Boop. Okay. And so now let's again save our work and see what we've got. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I would say this will feel better, I think, if it happens slightly later. Yeah, right before she... It's oftentimes when someone's about to move. Yeah, see that? When someone's about to do something, they tend to blink, especially on a head turn. Hey, Ajax. Especially a head turn. Okay, so now we really need to look at her eyelid situation. So let's just try to not get ahead of ourselves. Yeah, see, look at that. Actually, it's already in here. I forgot in the color sample. So obviously we need to give her a little bit of age and that bony shadow in her boom. That bony shadow in her cheekbones. But again, let's just kind of take this one item at a time. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to fix this on all the mom shots. Carliana is her name, by the way, in case you're keeping score. G key. And I'm actually going to bring the opacity down just about 15%. Okay, and that's not the right color. It did not sample the color. I'm sure that's not right. I know why it's not right. Actually, I'll tell you why it's not right. And by the way, it probably means all my lip colors are not right either. This color key needed to be up above anything else so that it's not being changed by the tints and whatnot. So, not a tragedy. That's the color I was looking for. That's it. Yes. Oh my gosh. Now she looks downright mean. Okay, so with this small caveat, which is if you're going to have some transparency built into your color, then you better get it right on the first swipe, because if I do another swipe, you can see it actually doubles up the color on itself. So let's just keep on going here. And we'll get this woman whipped into shape here. She'll be looking good when we're done. Now, she's not going to look prettier. In fact, she's going to probably look a bit uglier. Because when I did this shot originally, I just basically drew her too young, if you will. But her eye makeup is a bit on the gaudy side. So... like I said, the bad news is there's a lot of things to fix, but they're going really fast. I mean, I'm blitzing through these shots pretty quick, getting things fixed. So we're actually pretty much ready to get voices going. I think I can get away with that one right there. Get the voices on. Already starting to play around with some ideas for the musical score. And I'm also starting to think about getting production moving forward on episode 2. And I'm thinking about crowdfunding, actually. I'm thinking about jumping out on Kickstarter and making a pitch, perhaps. Just thinking about it. Seems like it would be an appropriate step for this particular project, I think. I found with crowdfunding, basically here's the deal that I've seen with crowdfunding. There's a lot of people that have tried to crowdfund some kind of cartoon or anime, okay? And basically, not to be harsh, but basically if the project sucks, in other words, if you look a little deeper and in their pitch, all they're really showing is some still drawings, and they're not really showing anything that you could call real in terms of actually being a cartoon. Those ones do not do well. I mean, people see through the BS, and they know, we're not gonna fund something where you can't even show that you can do it. But on the other hand, a show like Blossom Detective Holmes, which is pretty good, did quite well with Kickstarter. So yeah, she looks like Cher. The problem is her nose too. So that's a bit disastrous, but again, we're just kind of taking one thing at a time here, folks. One thing at a time. I am doing the voices afterwards. I'm not I expect this is going to wind up being translated anyway. And so I'm generally using anime convention as far as lip sync, meaning you've got closed mouth, open mouth, and wider open mouth. Occasionally an oo or an o sound, but I'm not going for full phonemes because I expect it's going to probably see as much action in other languages as English, so why sweat it, Okay, so what I'm thinking here, as I'm basically thinking out loud, is let's grab our pencil and see if we can sort of fix the nose problem. Okay, now that is going to be tricky to match. That's the problem. This is where you almost want a second layer that you can then bake in. Yeah, forget it. Z. I'm going to put this on another layer. I'm just going to be beating my head against the wall trying to do it this way. So I'm going to add another layer, and we'll call this nose fix. And actually, let's do it this way. Let's not do it stupidly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is first I'm going to solo this layer and sample her skin color. Okay? Why? So that I can just go in here with the G key and paint that out. Okay, now that needs to be full opacity. Okay, so now I've gotten rid of her nose, and now I should be able to do a fix on the nose here, and then just animate it, which is really what you want to be doing anyway. Okay, and so while we're here, let's just go ahead and add those other things that I had said. Yep, that's pretty close. Let's look at the edit. Her mouth is higher there. I would say, yeah, but this is one of those cases where, again, it's a judgment call. You got this shot over here where her cheeks are really hollowed out. It's a little embarrassing to show how in a fairly short space of time the character evolved a bit. And that happens because I didn't, have a rigorous procedure for I didn't have a rigorous procedure for setting up model sheets and just kind of doing what you really should do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the opacity here way down, and then yes, oh my gosh, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, now that looks like Carliana. Okay, so let's insert a keyframe, and then I'm looking at the messages now. Okay, yeah, so I animate and voice, and based on just the timing, at 8 frames per second, most voiceover is 2 frames per phoneme. Sometimes it's 1 if the person's speaking particularly quickly. Ajax says one of the biggest issues with failed Kickstarts is they don't have anything real to show. It's just an idea concept. Exactly. Well, that's what I was seeing. And the thing about it is, I do have a track record as a filmmaker of having produced a very successful film, which I actually produced for less than $10,000. And there's not very many filmmakers that have ever done that. Robert Rodriguez obviously was one of them. There's a few people that have done it, but not very many, and I'm one of them. So I definitely can deliver the goods when I'm determined to do so. But I haven't really haven't done anything in the animation space, right? So, and by the way, as I'm talking here, I'm noticing something that I could do that would make this, So, and now what I have is I've got an episode that's almost done. And so the next step would be to pitch the overall concept, I think, which the concept is that there's going to be 12 episodes. It's a full, epic, really. Okay, I think I should just flip this. Okay, that didn't work because the opacity was turned down. Okay, and that didn't work because, come on now, Z. I guess, let me think here. Gotta look through here. Mouth, highlight. I guess maybe I can just sample this color, as a matter of fact. So sorry to get distracted. I'll come back to the. See, now it's doing what I was concerned it would do. That's probably the middle ground right there. So let's get that in there, and well, no, that's in raw mode. So now I'm going to hit erase, the E key, and B key, grab a little. I do not like that. Doggone it. It's got to be like that, and then let's just paint this in. Oh, come on. There we go. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I feel pretty confident that I can sell the fact that you're contributing to something that is really going to happen, and frankly, at the end of the day, is going to be pretty cool. I mean, I would like to look at the possibility of going outside for maybe for some voices. But at this point, my concept is that it would be 12 episodes over 3 years, one released every quarter. But the whole Under the Dog, I'll check that out, Ajax. I've never heard of that one. Let me see. Kickstarter, Under the Dog. I would definitely like to see. Yeah, I'll check that out. Oh, it looks really good too. I guess we should probably turn the audio off so I don't get. Oh my gosh, they raised almost $1 million. Cool stuff. I definitely will take a look at that. Okay, so Chris asks, what's your opinion about Studio Ghibli? And do you plan to make season 2, or the story is 12 episodes? My thinking would be, first of all, there's an overall story arc that is pretty complete over 12 episodes, as far as what I've got in my mind. Now, I could see where a show like this could take a different direction, and it would actually make sense to take that broader arc and maybe spread it over a longer period of time or whatever. But my thinking at this point is that the overall epic would be okay. Yeah, I see your message there, Ajax. So my thinking is 12 episodes is it, with this caveat. If it goes past 12 episodes, then the entire you would really have to morph it into a new kind of story, because the things that get resolved animation. But my hope is that I can put that over there and make little adjustments. I mean, this is yet another reason why I'm doing more and more work in Tahoma, because once you have to animate stuff, you know, in Krita, as great as it is for painting, and you know, frame by frame animation, uh, you know, all your imagery is baked into the animation keys. So if I get downstream here a bit and find out that I made a mistake where something about this fix or this imagery is wrong, I got to go through and try to match the fix on every single frame, which is basically impossible, really. Okay, so this one needs to be up a bit, I would say. It looks like it's a little bit too far to the west. And of course I can always go in and make some, you know, individual tweaks to the frames. But, you know, it's pretty much looking like her. She is not a friendly looking woman, I must say. She does not look like somebody you want to throw in with. Which of course is what Golik does. He throws in with her because she is his distant cousin, actually. Okay, so I'm gonna take the liberty of expanding this a bit. And I always reserve the right to make a mistake. This is definitely not the bestest way to have to make a cartoon. But it works, and it really, at the end of the day, doesn't actually take that long. That looks pretty good, actually. I think we're good. Let me go File, Save. All right, checking the messages here. Professional animator who went solo and made this Kickstarter. 12 episodes and a movie if you have more story to tell and doesn't fit the season. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if it's possible to take a 12-story arc and pack it into 1 year instead of 3, then that's certainly worth looking at. You know. Okay, I saw a little wrinkle in her. Nose situation, which tells me, actually, I think I want to raise that up a little bit. Those high eyebrows, or eyebrows, cheekbones. Yeah, I always get my eyebrows and my cheekbones mixed up. So silly. I am so silly. This is the one that seems to be tripping me a bit. I think it's because I got the angle wrong. And again, I might have to... Okay, this one's definitely too high. I think we're okay. That's actual size. Let's just rewind it and play it again. Yep, we got it. We're in good shape. Okay, I am actually kind of impressed with how I was able to get her fixed. Okay, and that's just the color key, and I think we're ready to render this. So this is 171. Let's save that. Hit Control R. Change this to 71. 171. Nope, that's bad. If it doesn't tell me there is equivalent file naming already in place, then that means stuff is getting saved to the wrong location. Doesn't happen very often, but so now what I got to do is go over to 171 here, Da 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 da. There it is. And there's something. Yeah, that's not even the right freaking shot. What the heck was I thinking? Get rid of them. Okay, let's go back here. Slow down here, buddy. Yeah, 121, not 171. It helps to be able to read, that's for sure. Being able to read is definitely beneficial. So 121, not 171. Well, the dialogues are awful tiny. Now it's rendering correctly. Okay. And there she is. Already updated. Yeah, she definitely looks nasty. She is one nasty lady. She is a schemer, I tell you. Okay. This, you know, the problem is, looking back here, I don't like her body language there, but I don't think I'm ready to fix that right now. Okay, got a little color correction issue here. And what we need to do is a secondary color corrector, because I want to ramp up the saturation on Mel's skin and not really too much else. So it's really probably pretty much a luminance key. So we'll crank the luminance key, and now we should be able to pump up the saturation on his skin a little bit. And I probably should consider, if we're going to rotate it, it would probably be this way. Yeah, he's a little bit more towards the peach. A little more towards the peach. Alright, so now I hit Control C, and then for this shot, I'm going to go Paste Event Attributes, which makes the same color corrector appear on this one. And frankly, I think, let me see what the, yeah, it's about the same, but we probably need to open that up a little bit more on this particular one. Yeah, that's what you got to do. And I'm going to suggest that probably we'll go back to this one. Paste Event Attributes. Ah, boy. Not quite. How many minutes have I finished? Well, I mean, this is... I assume by finished you mean that essentially what we see here would be considered finished, even though there's stuff that is being fixed and tweaked. So there are 24 minutes that are finished, and then the second episode already has the last 8 minutes of it animated, because that was actually what I started with when I started working on the show. I figured it would be maybe prudent to start at the end and see what lessons got learned along the way and blah blah blah. Once I kind of felt comfortable with things, I jumped back to the beginning. But yeah, you can see that saturation is definitely lacking. And man, we're having to crank that like the dickens. Oh, that's probably why. Let me widen out the luminance on this. One of the most powerful types of color correction tools is a secondary color corrector, because it allows you to limit what gets corrected based on either color, luminance, or saturation, and effectively can act as a compressor. Like if you have a shot in a movie where there's only one part of the shot that's like oversaturated or something, you can isolate that, and the actual correction only takes place when it crosses a certain threshold, which is really valuable, because if you look at your meters, which most people that are just dicking around with video editing don't look at these meters, but if you look at the scopes, it tells you if your color is getting into dangerous zones where if you're in these little boxes that I know are hard to see, then if it shows on television, it's going to actually get blown out. Now that is not as big of an issue as it used to be, for the simple reason that television is kind of a non-thing nowadays. Everybody's watching everything on platforms, on devices, so fortunately the world is a little more forgiving in that respect than it used to be. Okay, where are we at? Got that color correction fixed. So yeah, I think to answer, I would say that it took me, gosh, it's only been in the last month or so, maybe 6, where it needs to be finally. And that's really only been true for probably a couple months. So the good news is both the quality is going up and the speed is going up. This last segment at the end of the show, the last day I worked on it, I got 30 seconds of finished TV show done in about 2.5 hours, which is ridiculous. Absolutely insane. This whole sequence, let's see what this is. This is, yeah, about that much. Probably all that was completed. All that animation in about 2 to 3 hours. And that's because I'm using the tools available to try to work smart. Like that move right there with Asher was a regular hand-drawn frame-by-frame animation, but that stuff like the head turns and whatnot, that's all being done in Tahoma with the plastic tool. So, you know, just use the tools at hand as needed, you know, to solve problems, and it can actually get to a manageable time frame. So, anyway, which is why I haven't really gotten serious about the idea of maybe crowdfunding this thing until recently, because I don't feel like it would be right for me to crowdfund something that I don't feel really confident that I can deliver, both in terms of the time frame and the quality, you know? So, at this point, the great regret of my life is that I wish I had known 6-8 months ago what I know now, because a lot of this stuff would have looked better the first time around and probably gotten done, I don't know, probably twice as fast, though, I would say, over the long haul. So, yeah. So the goal is to write an episode in about a week, which for me is pretty reasonable. I mean, I'm a very fast writer, actually. Most of my screenplays have only taken a couple hours or weeks to write, and then and a screenplay's 90 pages, you know. I mean, 90 minutes, so figure a 24-minute episode's going to be pretty easy to knock out in a week. So, and that's what professional people in television have to do. I mean, come on, you're putting out a show every week. Now, obviously, there's a team of writers usually, so it's like they don't literally have to do it in a week, but sometimes they do. You know, they certainly could. Okay, let's just look here. Now we're getting into, yeah, this sequence is very problematic, and I really have to think about this one, because I was fixing this in Krita using essentially head replacement from some of the later shots that I've done where he was more on character. And this is going to be a bear to do, I think. This one won't be too bad, but I'm kind of feeling like this whole sequence needs to be brought into Tahoma and fixed up. Plus the backgrounds all need to be replaced anyway. The backgrounds, so yeah, this is actually a great example of kind of what I talked about a little bit on the difference between the workflow in Krita and Tahoma. See, the problem here is if I want to replace this background, which pretty much amounts to making it this background, okay, where you've got soldiers in the background, there's more texture on the wall, there's sort of this decorative stuff going on. Okay, well, the problem is if I stay in Krita, I've got to actually cut and paste this background into every single one of these shots, you know, unless I go to another program, you know, for compositing or something. But if I bring these shots into Tahoma, then all I need to do is fix the background one time, and that can be reused in each of these shots. In Krita, everything's hard-coded, if you will. Everything's baked into the actual animation keys. And that definitely gets old after a bit. It does get old. Okay, how are we doing on time? 11:11. Okay. So, now the question really does become, is it even possible for me, I'm thinking out loud here, folks, so bear with me. Question number one is it possible to fix the characterization issues here without, because the acting's good. I like the way I did the animation. Of course, there's a little change in the characterization between these two shots, but after that, it's all the same guy. So the question becomes, is it possible to tweak him out so that he looks correct without having to really completely reconstruct the shots from scratch? This is more accurate to his characterization. So you can see this is a big problem. You know, you could kind of sort of get away with it to a degree. Like that's very spot on. That's definitely Asher. So let me mark this, and then let me jump to here. Okay, so that one's kind of almost okay. This is not. So let's look at what's wrong. Okay, number one, his mouth is too low. Probably his eyes are too wide and his mouth is too low. And his nose dips too low as well. So there's definitely some serious issues with this. Now, let's just look at this, okay? Let's take our time. It's possible this shot, based on what I'm seeing here, was done in Blender, probably with the grease pencil. So let's take a look. Oh. Okay. So I'm going to go to 159 up on my other screen and see what we have. 159 redo in Blender. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So that's 159. It does look like this is grease pencil though, right? Edit strokes. Oh, I don't think this is grease pencil. Is it? Oh, nope, it isn't. Okay, that explains a lot. Okay, so again, sorry guys if you guys find this tedious, I definitely apologize, but this is what you have to do if you're going to fix things. Okay, I can see what we need to do. If we're going to do the shape keys thing, then okay, fine, let's do the shape keys thing. It's not a bad idea. I mean, here we've got the bad characterization already mapped to a plane, and Ajax is correct. You could draw over them. Sometimes that is the right answer. In this case, I would say it probably is not. He doesn't even look like the same guy. Oh my gosh. Well, that's completely my fault. And I knew this was going to come up sooner or later. Well, the problem is, it looks like what Ajax is suggesting, I actually already did. There looks to me like there's grease pencil. Yeah, see, I did an eye replacement thing. That's kind of interesting. Ah, okay, yeah, that was a really early iteration of Asher. So the problem is that this characterization is baked into the into an image sequence that's mapped to a plane. So that means if I try to use shape keys to fix things, I'm going to have to mix and match a lot lot of shape keys, it could get real ugly. Let me see what I had here. So again, if anyone wants to, you know, like tune out because this is too boring, believe me, I won't be offended. But where will you put the finished series? Yeah, people keep asking me that. Well, I have a distributor that that I've worked with for almost 10 years. That's distributed my live action feature films, and it's not that I would have to go in that direction, but that is kind of what I was thinking I would probably be doing, is working with them. Okay, so let me see here. I'm going to turn auto keying off. Okay, so we did an ear shrink. That's what that was. What's this one? That was the mouth being raised up. Okay, that was necessary too. Wow, I mean, like, I barely remember doing all this. Okay, so the basic issue that I'm seeing at the moment would really be with his nose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a slightly shrink, and then let's see if we can, that's going to be tough. This is going to be tough, but we can try. I mean, you know, this is one of those things, it's like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work. If it doesn't, I've lost nothing because the shape keys are just, you know, baked in. So this isn't boring, it's useful information. This mistake. Well, that's right. I mean, I've done a fair amount of this, and I can't seem to keep from making mistakes. So, okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I can live with that. Let's just see. Okay, so now when we get over here, I would say probably here. Boom. On that key. We really don't want to be looking at the grease pencil, by the way. Okay, let me see. So there you can see that what that's doing. So we really need a key here. So let's go ahead and hit the I key. And then go back to the beginning, and then we'll crank it up, crank that nose in, and put a key on that. Okay, so unfortunately what's a bit ugly about this is we're going to have to have quite a few shape keys because he changes orientation. So basically this shape key is useless once he's shifted around to here. Okay, so we're going to be here. Let's do it there, and we'll just add another key. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep making this stuff up as I go along and see what happens. Okay, so probably something like that. Hit the G key to push that in. I really want to try to make the nose conform with sort of the latest version of the way his nose is supposed to be. It's very crooked, but I have to be careful that I'm sliding under the grease pencil strokes actually. And obviously you could just redraw his nose, you know. Okay, so what I'm going to do is insert a key. I'm just going to hit the I key, but then I'm going to go back to the beginning and insert another one. Okay, so that way, and by the way, I prefer this. Okay, that didn't work very well, did it? Apparently with shape keys, that doesn't exactly work. That sucks. Okay, so I stuck in that key so that when I get to here, now we can crank that up, crank it up, insert a key there, and now this really sucks because I'm saying, well, maybe I wasn't looking at, yeah, I want to see only the relevant channels, and of course the one channel that I actually need to see is the shape keys, and apparently this, unless I'm seriously missing something. doesn't work with shape keys, which is a bummeroony. All right. So here's a key, and there's the one I'm working on. Yeah. If I hit isolate. Okay, I'm looking at the messages really quick. Thanks for the it isn't boring comment, Ajax. Appreciate that. This is create a very detailed character sheet and check regularly. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, that's what I should have done way back when. And part of it, to be fair, part of it is that I changed my mind. You know, where there were actually some characterization changes. And so I knew that this stuff was going to be necessary. So it's not a huge surprise. Okay, we'll stick a key there. Okay, not horrible, not horrible. But we have to ask ourselves, once you've done all this work, does it actually look like the guy? I think it doesn't. I just don't think it looks like him. I just don't believe that it does. We'll re-render it, just for the heck of it. It's going to wind up having to get redone anyway. So that's 159. Just double checking that I got the right. Yep. Let's go ahead and do a Control F10. Re-render it with those shape keys. There's obviously one little hiccup in there that kind of sneaks by. Yeah, so Ajax's comment is completely right. There is a definite step that either the director or someone else handles to make sure that your characters are, as we say, on character. And if they're not, why, that can be a problem. Yeah. Let me see this. I wonder if I did a fix in... I think I did. I think I did fixes in Blender for all this stuff. It's just that this is really the guy. That's the problem. That's definitely a problem. So I'm gonna, I don't even think probably what I need to do is take a break, because I'm gonna have to scrap. There's a whole sequence here of shots that I'm gonna have to scrap and redo. Not the worst thing in the world, because frankly, once this little sequence through here is fixed, and there's things about these shots as well. So basically this little part of the show right here really needs some work. Once you get out of there, like this is a great example. Okay, trust me folks, this is insane. This guy is this guy. Okay? This is the actual guy. This is the character I want to have be in the show. This is the early version, and you know, these drawings might be an acceptable middle ground if I just fix his hair and maybe a little bit of skin color situation, but this is horrible. I mean, and this is when I was toying around with trying to do everything in the Blender grease pencil, and yeah, didn't really go that well. So I don't think you have the object selected. That's why the shape key is not showing there. That's probably true. You're probably right, Max. I appreciate that tip. But again, it doesn't really matter. Now, I mean, I wanted to take the time to kind of piddle with it a little bit. But all in all, what's sad about this sequence is that the acting was quite good. So what I'll do, I think, as I'm looking at it, is I've got to replace the background anyway. So why don't I just redo all these shots? We'll take the same background and probably blitz through all of these in Tahoma, and doing the secondary animation with the plastic tool should be pretty quick and easy. What's not easy, frankly, is the stuff that's most good about these shots. Like the little, like that little bit of secondary animation on the, you know, most of that I'm pretty sure was done in Blender with shape keys. You know, it's good stuff, but so you kind of hate to throw it out, but it won't be the first thing today I've had to throw out. That's for sure. So, anyway, I would say with that, I think it's probably time for me to take a break. I haven't gone that long, but I got started a little late today, and I'm thinking maybe some lunch would be in order. So, if you guys don't mind, I'll probably live stream again later. What I've been doing is when I'm working, I live stream, you know, so. And, so I'm thinking I'll get away from this for a bit and probably come back in an hour or something and keep rocking. So anyway, if anybody has any last second questions, feel free to weigh in. And otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and duck out for a bit.